I really appreciate you joining me today, and this story comes from South London. This involves the tragic death of two sets of twins from the same family who sadly lost their lives in a Collingwood Road house fire on the 16th of December. I won't always cover stories to do with house fires and young people dying. There has to be something that I can explain or add to the story to make you understand it a bit better. I don't just try to shock people like the mainstream media sometimes are blamed for doing. But with this case, there are several different elements to it, and I feel that there is definitely a public interest in understanding what happened and why. The initial reports I will take from My London newspaper, and they have reported that the father of the four amazing boys, so this is two sets of twins from the same mother and father, who died in the tragic Sutton fire, has told of his agony over their loss and never being able to take them to their first football match. Firefighters pulled the two sets of twins out of the house. They are aged 4 and 3, and it occurred at 7 p.m. on Thursday. The boys have been named as Kyson, Bryson, Leyton and Logan, and affectionately nicknamed the Quads by anybody that knew them. Leyton Hoath, 28, told the Sun newspaper at the time of the tragic loss of his 4 footy-mad boys. "I'll never get to take them to their first game," he said. Leyton, whose dad works for AFC Wimbledon, said the first football game was all they were talking about. "Now I won't be able to see them playing football or watching. It would have been a family tradition that was passed down. We supported Wimbledon for years. They were bright, caring, lovable boys, and I don't know how I will carry on. It's a miracle I haven't lost the plot already." The London Fire Brigade sent 60 firefighters in 8 fire engines to the devastating house fire. The first crew emerged within 3 minutes from the house, and 3 boys were taken and given emergency CPR. They continued to receive treatment in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and the boys were pronounced dead upon arrival. The latest development in the story is that a 27-year-old woman has been arrested on suspicion of child neglect and remains in police custody at the time of the initial statement. So the mother of the children was arrested in connection to this. But she wasn't arrested for murder or manslaughter. It's initially child neglect.
It took place yesterday evening where sadly 4 children lost their lives to a tragic fire. Our thoughts will be with both the family and the community at this time. Shortly before 9 p.m. last night, fire crews were called to a house fire where 8 fire appliances and 60 firefighters attended the scene. We rapidly entered the building and carried out breathing apparatus operations to recover and rescue 4 children, and carried out CPR at the scene until the arrival of our London ambulance colleagues. The children were taken to the hospital shortly afterwards, and sadly they died of their injuries in hospital. The cause of the fire is currently unknown and will remain on the scene over the coming day to investigate alongside our Metropolitan Police colleagues. My thanks go to firefighters, officers, control operators and London ambulance colleagues who did everything they possibly could to save the lives of these 4 young children. All our crews who have attended this incident are being supported by our counselling and wellbeing service to ensure that they have the health and wellbeing at the core of what we do. We'll continue to support the community in conjunction with the police over the coming days and months, recognising the impact this fire has on them. Once again, I'd like to express my profound sadness and my deepest sympathy to the family involved and the community as a whole, particularly when we are close to Christmas. I would also like to take the opportunity to remind members of the public to please ensure you remain safe over the Christmas period. Thank you.
Can we just get your name for the tape, please?
My name is Deputy Commissioner Richard Mills.
Is there any more known exactly about the children? We know that they're boys. Could you just confirm on the tape any more that you know?
So at the moment, what I can say is that they are 4 boys. They are 2 sets of twins aged between 4 and 3.
Mm-hmm. And any more about the parents at all and if they were in attendance?
So when we arrived at the scene, we attended and rescued the 4 children. I'm not at liberty to say whether there was anybody else at the scene at the time. That is a matter being investigated by the police.
And any more lines of the investigation in terms of how the fire started? Have you got any where it started or what might have been the cause at all?
So we have fire investigation officers on scene today who will do a forensic search of the building. We are asking for further fire investigation officers to come to the scene and we'll be using our search dog as well at the time. We'll be doing that in conjunction with the Metropolitan Police Service as part of their normal inquiries.
How are the officers doing that responded?
So we have made arrangements for the crews and the officers when they went back to station yesterday, and they've been met by other officers. We've also spoken to our chaplaincy services as well to make sure that they have any spiritual or faith support as well as mental health. Clearly, an event like this will impact them both as professional firefighters and officers, but also as parents of young children as well. We are very mindful that when they come back on duty, we will meet them again with officers to offer that support, and we'll continue to work with them over the next couple of weeks and months to make sure they are in a good place or as best as possible.
Do you know when you might be able to confirm the names and family names?
So we are in conversation with the police at present. Confirmation of names, I'll be guided by the police because this is a police-led investigation, as you'd expect. Anything else? Great. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies.
News of the incident has shocked the local community, who all knew the children. A resident came to lay flowers and said they were lovely boys who were always giggling, very cheeky, and there was a little pact together. Whenever I'd walk through the road or down the park, they pretended to chase me and were always laughing together. The boy's grandfather also spoke to the media about his devastation at the loss of the children. He said he was devastated at the horrendous house fire that took place. More information was reported about the woman that was arrested in the catastrophic house fire that resulted in the two sets of twins passing away.
Sadly died. They were all related. There was nobody else inside the property at the time of the fire.
Richard Mills, the Deputy Commissioner of the London Fire Brigade, said when firefighters arrived, the blaze was very well developed and only the children were inside the house. Next of kin were informed and provided with specialist help. So 4 children aged under 5 years old were unsupervised in the property. A local resident told My London newspaper they saw the house on fire last night and there was a lot of black smoke. The poor kids wouldn't have stood a chance if they were stuck inside. I only saw the mum yesterday walking with the 2 children up the road and they looked very happy. They had very curly hair and were always playing. This is such a tragedy and I don't know how to explain to my daughter, who is too young to understand. So I send my condolences to the family of the 4 boys, and it is a massive reminder this time of year how much to value and appreciate everything you do have and how easily things are taken away. I'll definitely keep you updated on the investigation and any conclusion with the story. I really appreciate you joining me today. Please don't forget to follow me online as well at Scarcity Studios. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.
I've been in Sutton this morning at various events, and I was coming past, so it was an opportune time to actually drop in. I don't want to crowd the emergency services. I think it's really important that rather than having a big circus around them, that they have the time and space to do the work that they really need to do. And it's harrowing for them as well. It's not just the families in the community. It's to come in. I cannot only imagine what you'd see.
Yeah, exactly. Have you reached out to members of the community? Because obviously this would be have a devastating impact on, people of Sutton and particularly the people of this street. Have you spoken to various members, or is that something?
I haven't had the opportunity to just speak to people directly that are in the neighbouring areas. I've obviously just reflected a little bit on social media, just so people know that I'm around and aware, and if they need anything from me, I'm here for them. But it's, as I say, I think people just need their time to digest what's happened and really process it. It was difficult for me to process it, and I live a few miles away. You're next door, and you can see the hoardings and the fire damage.
Okay, that's fine. It's like 10 minutes round the other side of the road.
And what do you know about
if you put in Bushy Road,
well, I mean, all we know the ages of the children. We know that they passed away after they got to hospital. But I don't really want to speculate yet on exactly what happened. I think that's why the police just need that space to be able to get those answers that we're all going to need, and we're going to have to then reflect on what happened, any lessons that need to be learned from that, because you can't we can't let this happen. We just cannot let this happen, especially, you know, we had a fatal fire, albeit an elderly lady, just last week in Sutton. But it is horrendous.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you so much for your time and for speaking with us and for coming down. But yeah, thank you so much for being willing to speak to us.
No, not at all.